Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. It's Katie Regwe here, a talk show host and motivational speaker and an international public speaker. I'm a coach and I'm a consultant. How are you guys doing? Great. Nice talking to you this evening. And if you're watching for the first time, don't forget to subscribe. And if you're a frequent frequent person on this, what would I say? Frequent person on this channel, guys, also subscribe to this channel and share this link. Okay. Great. So today we'll be talking about on the topic, a consultant that is worse than a witch doctor. That's the topic for today. A consultant that is worse than a witch doctor. That's the title of today's show. And I would like you to leave your comments, to contribute as much as you can, and ask any question that you wish to ask. Because oftentimes, we go to doctors and we think, oh, they are experts, and you rely on so much on them. Of course, they are the expert. That's what they're supposed to be. So we rely so much on them, and sometimes things happen that you are not aware of. But in my own case, it's so obvious because there's a mark that was left behind. So that's why I want to talk about this topic today. So years ago, that was exactly 2007. I happened to have twin girls, which I really prayed for, and I thank God I have them. But you know one thing, when you pray and God answers your prayer, the devil often attacks as well. So in my own situation, my daughter was given an antibiotics, and as a parent, we know our children better, especially when they are babies. You are with them 24/7. So you are the person that really know your child better than any other person. Even if the person have 1 million qualifications, you, the mother who spend more time with that child, know your child better than any professional. So that was the situation I faced. And another thing, at the time we were having these issues, we didn't have our residency yet in Ireland. And when you don't have your residency, you go to the hospital, they see all that on your record, which we're going to talk about later on. So I took this child to the hospital. Before I could take the child to the hospital, when you're waiting for residence, that is why when I hear about people swimming through the ocean to come abroad, I really feel so bad. Okay, because you are talking about hunger back home, you're talking about other issues. But for us who have come abroad, we have our issues that we face as well, that nobody knows except we open our mouth to say them. I think it's all rosy abroad. So when you are back home, before you pack and leave, please look around what you can do first, because at the time in this journey, when I look back, I was like, what? I wish I could just find myself back home. I actually wanted to go back home at that minute to avoid what is happening to my child today. But unfortunately, the laws have changed there. You can't travel with a child with just birth certificate anymore, and the child didn't have a passport at that time. So getting to the hospital, before I could go to the hospital, I was asked to give a letter to me, take a letter from a GP before going to the hospital. And another mistake again is here. Someone give you a letter, please open it before you hand it over. Don't trust people too much, because I just trusted, oh, it's doctor's report. Let me take it, and give to the receptionist at the A&E department at Galway Hospital in Ireland. Handed the letter to the lady, and she has asked me what is the issue with the child. I've said to her, this is what happened. The child is being fine, but there's this antibiotics I was giving to this child, and this is what I noticed, that the child was having a shake with the antibiotics. Okay, the lady said to me, but madam, I'm looking at this letter. The doctor is saying that he thinks that this child have epilepsy. And I was so shocked. Epileptic. I said, no, my child don't have epilepsy. He's never epileptic. He now started asking me those questions. If anyone in my family had epilepsy, I said, no, I've not even seen anyone with epilepsy except once in primary school when I saw someone fell down and was jerking, and they said that was epilepsy attack, that the best crisis the person was having. That was the only time I've seen anyone suffer from epilepsy in my entire life. But these people, went ahead, diagnosed my daughter for epilepsy, and they were treating her for epilepsy. And you know what? Anticonvulsant drugs, which are the drugs they use to treat epilepsy, does more harm to someone who is not epileptic than any good. Because those drugs were just affecting the brain. There was a time, and funny enough, some of these drugs don't even have all the side effects on them. And one mistake again that happened that I want to go back to. When my daughter was given that antibiotics, guys, from the GP, from the pharmacy, right? It was those one that they prepare themselves. You know, the one they mix in a bottle. Please be aware. Just be careful with those kind of antibiotics, because the one you buy from the sachet, from the packet, you that know how to read, you can read it. And if you don't know how to read, you can give it to someone to read, and you can see all the side effects and you can see the dosage. But the one that they prepare themselves and tell you, give this meal, give that, you just follow what they told you. Put the life of your child in their hands. That was what happened to me. I followed the instruction that they gave me, that they typed and pasted on the bottle, and that's what I did. And I was giving my child following instruction, not knowing that the medication was not for that age. The child was only 2 months and 2 weeks, 3 weeks old, and the dosage they were giving her was 5 mils. And I was like, this medication is the only thing different my daughter have taken that is different, that's causing this reaction. I noticed that and I said, no, this drug, there's something in it. But as men, I asked my husband, I said, listen, this thing, I think this medication, there's something about it. My husband said, wow, this woman, why are you questioning everything? This is Europe. This is not Africa. Nobody's going to harm your child. Please go ahead and give the medication. And that was the biggest mistake we made, because he thought, because we're in civilized world, that people don't make mistakes. Please, people, be careful. Whether Africa, whether Europe, whether America, whether England, be careful when you take your child to the hospital, when you go to the hospital, what you give to your child. So, when I got to the hospital, I said to the lady, when she asked me what exactly happened to my child, and I thought the doctors were going to help with that, maybe give the child drip and put her under observation and all that. The doctor saying my daughter, the next thing they were talking about was birthmark. People, these children were given birth in Europe, in Ireland. I got pregnant in Ireland of this twin. It's not that I got pregnant back home and I have my children and I brought them back here and they don't know the history. These children have their record on file. They know about them. There was no complication whatsoever with their pregnancy. So it's not that there was a pregnancy issue, there was some complication and they had consent. No consent. The birthmark were observed during, after birth, and they confirmed to me that it has no medical complication, because it's common with the Asian and African children, which I know. Birthmark doesn't have any, issue with seizure on our body. Almost all the African people I know, they have birthmarks, one place or the other on their body. But unknown to me, after I told them, I didn't know that they felt, what's this one talking about? What does she know that she's telling us? They went ahead and they said to me they want to give us something to stop the shake. I said, okay. I didn't know it was anticonvulsant and they were still giving to the child. After they've asked me again, the the doctor have asked me again, I've said to them, listen, this is what happened to my child. They contacted another doctor whom they believe is their chief neurologist in Ireland. And that doctor was diagnosing my daughter without even seeing who my daughter was. He didn't set his eyes on my daughter. And he said to them, give the child this, give the child that, and they gave my child those medication. And later we put on the ambulance to transfer us to this doctor who is prescribing without seeing a child. When we got to the hospital, this child was stabilized for 9 good days, 9 days. She was fine, and I said to this doctor, this child is fine, it's been fine. He said, yes, but we're going to carry out an EEG to check the brain. I said, that's fine. They checked it, it was fine. He said, no, that one is not detailed enough. He's going to do an MRI, which is a more detailed examination. And he did that. And also came out good. And I said, okay, since the report is saying everything is fine, why don't we stop the medication? Please, can we stop the drugs? Because I realize now that these drugs are for epilepsy, for a child who is having seizures. But this child didn't seize. It's just a reaction to the drug. And now you can see that she's fine. The man insisted, no, that we have to continue because, it can come back, blah, blah, blah. He told me continue with the drugs, and I did continue. And getting back home, as the level of the medication increased, what I saw, my mouth could not say it. Guys, what I saw with my eyes, gosh, as being a parent, that was one of the most challenging time in my life, being a parent, because I was in a situation where I couldn't do anything about it at the time, and the people who I think they are expert I was going to, they were making the situation worse. So going back and forth to hospital, they change medication here and there, doing trial and error, and the situation was getting really worse. Before I knew it, my daughter started checking eyes, doing even worse than happened. And I'm like, gosh, if this is what I'm going to face in the hospital, I better leave the child. Who knows? Maybe she will just, wear out. This medication will just wear out her system. What kind of treatment is this? Oh my goodness, this is worse than even in the third world country. So we continued back and forth like that. And this child was 6 months old. We saw that there was no, sign of anything good. She wasn't sitting down. She wasn't crawling. She turned 1 year old. Same story, getting worse. And the worst part is that when you see the doctor, every time you see the doctor, he gives you new diagnosis. He add one thing or the other to it. The list was becoming long. And I said, no, my goodness, this is not a joke. Is this a dream or what? Oh, gosh. We continued. And when it got to that stage, I just said to myself one day, I said, listen, I've always said to this doctor that this child don't need this medication. Is there anything else you can do to help her situation? But this drug will definitely not do her any good because you are treating what she doesn't have. But he felt he was the expert, and he said no, you know what he was doing. That shouldn't worry. Your child will be fine. Everything will be perfect with her. You just need to control this. Sometimes it's difficult to control. And I listened to this man. And that was one of the things. I'm normally not someone that regrets, but this is one thing I can tell you I regretted listening to this doctor who called himself a consultant because he's worse than a witch doctor. Because even witch doctors will cause problem for you immediately. If they cause problem for someone, if they realize they run away, I think their problem will be fine. But this man caused a problem that even we ran away from him, some of them were resolved, and we're still dealing with some complex issues till today. That's why I said a consultant that is worse than a witch doctor. So we went on, but when he turned 1, I said, listen, this child cannot continue like this, because at this stage she couldn't walk, she couldn't sit properly by herself, she couldn't do anything, and I knew that this drug was the issue. This anticonvulsant that this man was pumping in my daughter's body, there was a time they gave her, dosage of 20 milligram as injection. It got to a time where they put syringe in her arm, she don't feel pain. Can you imagine? They've numbed her body with drugs that when you put syringe in her arm, she don't even cry. They will punch here, they say they are looking for vein. Punch all over her arms, no cry. That is what we went through. So when she turned 1, I said, listen, this is enough. We had to pray and take her off anticonvulsant. Behold, guys, don't think you do not know anything. When it comes to your child, you are the expert before any doctor, guys. When it comes to our children, we are the one that see them day in, day out. If you are a parent that observe your child, when it takes anything, if there's any changes, we are the first person to know, not the doctors. So we stopped this medication. Come and see. We started seeing, great improvement. The next appointment we got there, the nurses were so impressed. They said, "Oh, mom, what happened? This is so good." They thought it was a medication they prescribed to my daughter that we're giving her that made the change. By the time I told them what happened, I said we stopped her the drugs and we're weaning her off the medication gradually, with the pattern that the doctor used to wean her off one of them when he was trying to change one of the drugs some time ago. And this is the outcome we've been getting. She's become so active. She's more awake now, because before she just drink that medication, she go to bed, wake up with seizure and go back to bed again and all that. And the nurses were like, their facial expression changed, because they were so excited that because that was the first time they saw my daughter playing. Every time we come for the appointment, she was always sleeping at the time she was on those medications. And it was time to see the consultant now. Guess what? Consultant was so upset because we took her off medication and the child was fine. I said, what? So a child that you prescribe some medications for, now the parents are telling you that they took her off the medication and the child has got much better. Will you not work with them to see what else you can do? All the all the trouble, the problem you've caused this child, to see what you can do to help. I thought that's what you should be doing. And also there's something he said to me. He said that antibiotics, augmentin duo, which is the overdose of the medication that was given to my daughter when she was 2 months and 3 weeks old. He said that medication have no effect with a child having shakes. And I thought, what? Okay, I had to do my research myself. And I contacted the company, the pharmaceutical company in Ireland that actually manufactured the drugs. And they sent an apology letter telling me that they are sorry. That this has also happened to another child before. That I'm not the first person this has happened to, that they are sorry. I should send the name of this consultant, of the doctor handling my daughter, so they can see how they could be of help. Guys, see how help would have come to my daughter. But this consultant was so adamant. He said, no, the medication has nothing to do with seizures, that he's not interested. Can you imagine? He said he wasn't interested. And the letter I sent to them, that they were apologizing about, I couldn't do anything about it now, because they wanted the doctor's contact, but the doctor said no, he wasn't interested, because it has no effect. And luckily, the hospital in Galway where my daughter was admitted, I was speaking to one of the staff there, and he said to me, but do you know they don't use that medication in this hospital because of the reaction it does give children, that they don't actually use augmentin duo. I said, can you imagine? But this consultant was telling me that this drug has no issues with shake. That was just a coincidence. That it wasn't the problem. It wasn't because of the medication, the antibiotics, that my daughter had that shake. That was just a coincidence. And I wanted to go further to actually make sure that the medication that was given to this child was an overdose. So I asked one of the pharmacists in the hospital, that what is the dosage for a child, a baby, taking this augmentin duo, and the milligram and everything from the bottle that was given from the GP, from the pharmacy. I just quoted everything to the lady. She said it depends on the weight of the baby, and then they just weighed her in the hospital as well. So I have the recent weight, and I gave the pharmacist, the weight of my child, and he wrote it out for me. I'm still looking for that slip, because I'm actually was supposed to put that in my book, but I can't find where I kept that slip now. It's somewhere in the house, maybe in Dublin somewhere. I left it, I lost, I don't know. He said to me it's 1 point something, milligram that the child should be taking at that weight. But my daughter was given 5 mils. And here is a consultant who called himself a neurologist, saying that the antibiotics augmentin duo has nothing to do with a child having a shake. So now I don't know what he was thinking. Was he treating my child that way because he feel that, oh, these people, they are just waiting for their residency, they don't have a voice, we can just do anything we want to them? Or is that how they actually treat people in that hospital? Because if that is what this man is doing, then it will destroy a lot of children. And unknown to me, one day a lady was talking to me about a friend who has a child also who has some complicated issues with a doctor in Ireland, and it happened to be the same doctor. When he called the name of the doctor, it was exactly the same Dr. Lynch. It was the same person. So I said, okay, so this man, must be a genius in this, in destroying people's children. Because some time ago, something similar happened in Drogheda, in Ireland as well. It happened in different countries, but that one happened that they were actually taking out women's womb, because when they go for treatment, they say they have complication in their womb, and they actually will do this thing for them. What is it called again? Well, anyway, they would take out the womb, until someone said that this thing that these doctors are doing wasn't right, another staff there, and they investigated it, and they realized that those women never had any issue with their womb. So issues happen. It can happen in America, it can happen in Africa, it can happen anywhere. What I'm saying today is for you to be aware. When you go to hospital, when you take a child to the hospital, be careful. Don't say because a doctor said this to you, diagnose you for one illness, you just accept and you just start taking medication. I remember years ago when I went to Africa, Nigeria, I just came back and I said, let me just go for proper check, because I saw someone who had TB briefly, you know, and I came back and I said, let me just go and do a test. Do you know that the GP actually sent me for treatment for TB? But something told me, ask these people to do a test for you now, do another x-ray for you to see it yourself, while you are there. not the one they send to you later, report to GP, and they tell you that you have this, you have that, because I know I didn't have anything. Being a scientist sometimes makes us, to be too conscious about things. And I wanted to just be careful and be on the safe side. That's why I just went for a check. It's not for you to come and start diagnosing me. But I went there and I said to this lady, please, could you do another x-ray for me to just double check? He said yes. And that day was really looking nice. So all those people that look down on people because of the way they look, it didn't happen to them that day. So he looked at me and said, yes, why not? And he did it. And he said, but you're absolutely fine. That's what the doctor said to me. So that was another incident that would have happened again. I would have gone through, you know, treatment for tuberculosis without having a trace of it. Just because I wanted to do a check to be sure, because I went to Africa and I felt have a brief contact with someone, not even in a close place, but you just want to be sure, you know. When you have done all these things in school, being a microbiologist, you know the effect, you know how adverse, they can be. You just want to be careful and just make sure you check yourself early enough. And that was it. And now the GP was sending me to go for treatment. And when I came back to her, she was asking me, she was smiling the day she was giving me that report, that actually I have to go for treatment. She was so laughing. She was just laughing, feeling excited. I was like, what is making this woman happy? You're giving me a terrible news and you're laughing. What kind of doctor would this be? Now down the road, I realized that some of these medications, when they are being taken, prescribed by doctors, I don't know how far this is true. If you're a doctor watching this video, please, I would like to hear from you that they are being given commission. So will somebody be so desperate for money that you be giving someone a medication that you know definitely they don't need this, but you give it to them just because you want to gain, have some money, financial benefit from that? And I was like, what? This woman must be a wicked woman. So I came back the other day for another appointment and I said to her, she asked me, how did I go with my treatment? And I said, I didn't get to have any treatment. That was told I was fine. That they checked me and they said I was absolutely fine. And I could see her face as if it was going to rain. She wasn't happy at all. And I'm like, all these things we talk about in Africa that we have terrible, experiences. My dear, please, when you come abroad, don't think it's only in Africa. I've had worse experience even in Europe. So please be careful. And that is why I said a consultant that is worse than a witch doctor. That is what this man is, who he is. Because he made us have sleepless night for nothing. Something you would have prevented, he made it worse. And even went ahead and said, listen, her twin sister is going to be having the same issues in few months. That is, he told the doctors with all confidence. And all the doctors were just coming back to me to tell me what their chief consultant, who know nothing about a black kid, what is going to happen to my child, because he saw birthmark. Maybe in his country or in his entire practice, he's never seen a child with multiple birthmarks before. But this is Africa. We are Africans, even though we are living abroad. Our diet is different. Someone said to me that when we actually eat a lot of pepperish food when we are pregnant, that it causes birthmark on children. I don't know how far that is true, but I knew I had a lot of pepperish food when I was pregnant, because I was having nausea in my early pregnancy. But what I'm just saying now is this child was observed by an African doctor and an Asian people. They know, they seen the child, they've observed this child in the hospital, and I was told, mother, this child, they were initially concerned, but it has no medical implication. It's just something that is common. Birthmark is something that is common with African and Asian children, guys. If you are watching this show, if your child has birthmark and doctor is persuading you to give your child medication for anything that will affect the child in future and brain, please be careful. Be very careful, guys, because we were caught into this trap of treating a child for what he didn't have. If my child didn't have that antibiotics overdose and they said to me, because of the birthmark, we need to give her medication, of course I would say no, because I know birthmark has no medical implication and it's been confirmed at birth. But because the child had an issue, she was shaking, I couldn't just keep my child at home when I knew that she was on medication that she was reacting to, and I had to go to the hospital. But for so long, I was almost blaming myself. Why did I go to the hospital? Why did I even give this child this medication that was prescribed by this consultant that called himself chief neurologist in Ireland, that caused so much problem for my family and for my daughter. So, guys, this is what I want to share with you. We need to be careful. This thing came up again today. I was talking to my pastor today about this journey, and it really came so fresh in my memory. And I said, no, I'm going to talk about this today on my show to remind parents, because things happen every day. You take your child to hospital in and out, and if they tell you do this because it's a problem, it's not everything the doctor is afraid of that is a problem. A lady shared her story, her experience with me before, that her son had a big navel, and the doctor were chasing her. They need to operate it. No, don't operate it. Mine was like that. It will come down with time. They said no. They keep persuading her. Then now the child is fine. So there are some things that you know better than the doctor. And if you think you're 100% sure and you're so confident what you're saying, please stand by what you're saying instead of doctor causing problems for you, because now this doctor now is in his house sleeping or at work having fun, but we are here, you know, struggling with the issues that he has caused for us. He said to me, don't worry, nothing's going to happen to your child. We're just trying to control this. He's going to still go to mainstream school. The child is fine, but we need to control the seizure. He knew the child was fine. But when he knew that he has caused havoc, you know what this doctor did? He took away the MRI and the EEG that he did. That was perfect from the file. And he kept the ones he had after he started giving the child anticonvulsant. Guys, this is terrible. This is serious. This is a serious matter. We need to be careful, especially we immigrants that come abroad. Be careful with your children. It's not everything that the doctors say, oh, this medication, because GP is free abroad, doesn't mean that every medication we have to take and give to our child and destroy our child, because this one is destruction. They want to destroy my child. They all the consultants and group of doctors who connive with the devil to come and ruin my joy. That is what it is. If witches are chasing someone, is it doctor that will make themselves available for the devil to use? That's what this man did. He made himself available for devil to use against my child, because this child was absolutely fine. There was nothing wrong. He was having concern for nothing. And when he was supposed to concern about, he didn't concern about it. The antibiotics was an issue, he said it wasn't an issue. And gave my child medications that would stop, brain development. When I started checking the side effects on the internet, some of these drugs, they don't put all the side effects on the leaflet, guys. You need to know this. So you check online, you get more details. I read through the drug that they put my child on. When I read through it, I felt like crying all my life. I said, what is this? And a doctor gives medication, this kind of medication to a young baby like this. There was a time they gave her 20 milligram, and I said, oh, why are you giving her too much? They say, will it not affect her kidney? They say, yes. When it affects the kidney, when it will deal with the kidney. Oh my goodness, guys. Especially you who's watching this show, and maybe you are waiting for your papers, or you're an asylum seeker. Please be careful. Be careful when you go to take your child, or when you go to hospital yourself. I've had people, with different experiences. There's a guy also who said to me, in Ireland, who was working in a church where we attend in Ireland before. He said there was a day he was taking a medication, and his landlord walked into his living room and saw the medication he had on the table, and he asked him, what are you doing with that medication? What's happening to you? He said, nothing, my GP said I should be taking it. He said to him, that this medication is for people with mental health. And the guy said, no, I don't have mental. He said, but that's what you're taking. So guys, please, the fact that you go to GP and you get medication for free doesn't mean you have to take it. Doesn't mean you have to take everything. Please read through the leaflet. If all the information sometimes are not there online, and do your research. Don't just take something because doctor has told you to take it. If doctor asks you to die, will you die? Please tell me. If doctor asks you to die, will you die? Please don't die because doctor say go and die. Okay, these people are human beings. As a scientist, I did courses that when I'm in the course like this, in the lecture room, and when I'm studying, sometimes doing my research, when I read through some things, I'll be like, what? I wish I did this course, before this incident. You will see, percentage of errors that, humans are suffering today as a result of med. Doctors can just look at you and just think that this is what could be happening to you. It could be. It doesn't mean that is what's happening to you, and they will treat you for that. So there are good doctors and there are bad doctors. And I will tell you, when you meet the bad doctors, they are worse than weak doctors. Maybe doctor might diagnose one thing for you, he help you to cure that one, is straight seven for you. But this one is even worse than this doctor. This doctor that we met in Ireland, who is in Temple Street, who was diagnosing my daughter from Temple Street. So doctors are calling him on the phone and he's diagnosing my daughter without even seeing my daughter. And even after doing EEG and MRI, I think that the child is okay, it's fine. Instead of releasing the child to go, he wants to use my child to do an experiment that only God that we disgrace him out of that profession, because they told me, oh, you want to take a doctor to Ireland, in Ireland to court with an Irish doctor. A lawyer was telling me that you can't even go nowhere with that. Don't even bother yourself. You see this issue we face when we come abroad, guys. So before you pack your load and you run abroad, please think well. Think well, please. We are going through a lot abroad as well. Please feel that nobody knows what we are going through. Please be careful as a mother. I also watched a TV years ago. I think that one, they are based in the UK. Couples who said, doctor said to them that if you abort the pregnancy, that it is terminated, because if they give birth to that child, it's going to be born with serious brain damage, that the pregnancy is not coming well. My dear, these couples, they said no, we won't destroy our baby. If the baby will be brain damaged, let the baby be brain damaged. We will resolve that we take off the baby. And they kept the pregnancy, and when they gave birth to this child was 100% fine. That one is in the UK. I listened to that in the news some years ago as well. So please, guys, doctors are not God. They are humans like you. Before you seek your doctor, seek the face of God, because doctors, the humans, it can make mistakes because they are humans, and it can make terrible mistakes that you cannot even reverse. But it's only God that we are looking up to reverse this, because we know that God is the God of miracles. And we know there are also doctors out there who are very good in their field, who can also repair, and do things beyond, human imagination. We pray we need those kind of doctors to come and help us out, because this thing that this doctor linked us to guide us for us, we never forget it. Even my daughter recover from ministry, years of trauma, additional trauma, and the family, affected my marriage. It is wrong diagnosis, ignorance, when to work. Any doctor, if you are watching this video today, know that before doctor there is God above. That is why I like Nigerian doctor. They say they treat the God way. So if you are a doctor, don't put yourself in the place of God, because you'll be destroying people, killing people, and causing brain damage for innocent children. So thank you for watching, and I just want to remind you guys of our upcoming event, Key to Unlock Your Potential. Guys, things can happen to you in life, but you know that the life that you live is only 10% of what happened to you, and 90% is what you do to yourself. You can see my story I've shared now, what this doctor have done to me, to my daughter, the trauma he has caused us. But do you think I will crumble there? I will not crumble. I will not crumble, because in as much as it's hard, the situation has also made me to know the kind of family I've come from, the kind of siblings I have. Because when everything is with you, everything is fine with you, sometimes you might not really know who your true friends are. But in this challenging time, to actually know the kind of siblings I have. They've shown their true color over the years. So I want to say thank you for watching, and bye bye for now. Thank you very much. And please subscribe to this channel, because this channel is a platform for truth and for wisdom nugget, and I will share experience with you. Whatever I suffer, you will not suffer it. Come to this channel. If you are depressed, give more. If you are going through challenges, not depressed, but you are going through crisis, you cannot need someone to talk to, you are lonely, you don't know what to do in some situation because you're just about to give up, send me an email. My email is info@, triumph in the midst of adversity.com. That is midst is MIDST, triumph is TRIUMPH, at triumphinthemidstofadversity.com. Guys, I've been there, so I know what you can be feeling now, and what you'll be going through. There are times in your life that the friends might be far away from you, even your family might be far away from you. Only you know what you're going through, and you need someone to talk to, and you need someone to give you some advice, to lift your hope, and to actually encourage you. So please give me a shout. Okay, send me an email, and go on my website is www.triumphinthemidstofadversity.com. You'll see some motivational quotes as well that could help you, and you can go to ketoiregbu.org. That one have a lot of motivational quotes as well that will inspire you and keep you. Thank you, guys, and watch out for my upcoming book, Triumph in the Midst of Adversity.com. The book has been written, we're just waiting for the foreword to be written so it can be published, guys. Thank you, and bye-bye. Thank you, bye.